our nature is enlightened or unenlightened. Envision human figures living in an underground cave with a long entrance across the whole width of the cave. Here they have been from their childhood and have their legs and necks chained so that they cannot move and can only see before them, being prevented by the chains from turning their heads around. Above and behind them, a fire is blazing at a distance. They see only their own shadows, which the fire throws on the opposite wall of the cave. For how could they see anything but the shadows if they were never allowed to move their heads? Between the fire and the prisoners, there is a raised way, and a low wall built along the way like the screen which puppet players have in front of them, over which they show the puppets. Do you see men passing along the wall, carrying all sorts of articles which they hold projected above the wall? Statues of men and animals made of wood and stone and various materials? Of the objects which are being carried in like manner, they would only see the shadows. And if they were able to converse with one another, would they not suppose that they were naming what was actually before them? And suppose further that there was an echo which came from the wall. Would they not be sure to think when one of the passers-by spoke that the voice came from the passing shadows? To them, the truth would be literally nothing but the shadows of the images. And now look again and see what will naturally follow if one of the prisoners is released. At first, when he is liberated and compelled suddenly to stand up and turn his head round and look towards the light, all this would hurt him, and he would be much too dazzled to see distinctly those things whose shadows he had seen before. And then conceive someone saying to him that what he saw before was an illusion. But that now, when he is approaching nearer to reality and his eyes turn toward more real existence, he has a clearer vision. What will be his reply? And you may further imagine that his instructor is pointing to the objects as they pass and requiring him to name them. Will he not be perplexed? Will he not think that the shadows which he formerly saw are truer than the objects which are now shown to him? And suppose once more that he is reluctantly dragged up a steep and rugged ascent and held fast until he is forced into the presence of the sun himself. When he approaches the light, his eyes will be dazzled, and he will not be able to see anything at all of what are now called realities. He will require to grow accustomed to the sight of the upper world. At first he will see the shadows best. Next the reflections of objects in the water, and then the objects themselves. Then he will gaze upon the stars and the spangled heavens and the light of the moon. He will see the sky and the stars by night. Last of all, he will be able to see the sun, and not mere reflections of it in the water, but he will see the sun in its own proper place and not in another. And he will contemplate the sun as it is. Will he not then proceed to argue that it is the sun who gives the season and the years, and is the guardian of all that is in the visible world, and in a certain way the cause of all things which his fellows have been accustomed to behold? Clearly he would first see the sun, and then reason about it. And when he remembered his old habitation and what was the wisdom of the cave and his fellow prisoners, do you not suppose that he would bless himself for the change and pity them? And if they were in the habit of conferring honors among themselves on those who were the quickest to observe the passing shadows, and to remark which of them went before and which followed after, and which were together, and who were therefore best able to draw conclusions as to the future, do you think that he would care for such honors and glories, or envy the possessors of them? Would he not say with Homer, "Better to be the poor servant of a poor master, and to endure anything rather than think as they do, and live after their manner"? Imagine once more such a one coming suddenly out of the sun to be replaced in his old situation. Would he not be certain to have his eyes full of darkness? And if there were a contest of measuring the shadows, and he had to compete with the prisoners who had never moved out of the den, while his sight was still weak, and before his eyes had become steady, wouldn't they all laugh at him and say he had spoiled his eyesight by going up there? That it was better not to even think of ascending? And if anyone tried to release another and lead him up to the light, let them only catch the offender, and they would put him to death. It is the task of the enlightened not only to ascend to learning and to see the good, but to be willing to descend again to those prisoners and to share their troubles and their honors, whether they are worth having or not. And this they must do, even with the prospect of death. They shall give of their help to one another, wherever each class is able to help the community. Video from February 13th, 2016 at 8:49 in the morning. It's in San Francisco, California. You'll see two things: the little white sun and the regular yellow sun in the sky. And first, the yellow sun disappears, then the white sun appears, and then the yellow sun covers it up. So you can see the yellow sun just over the hill there. It's going to fade. The whole brightness is me adjusting the brightness filter. But here you can see it's almost completely disappeared. As the clouds move toward the south, the little white sun appears right now, center screen just above the midline. And it's a fair distance away from where the yellow sun was. Let's zoom in here as we watch it be obscured by the clouds. After it's obscured, you'll see the white aura. It's distinct, bright and white. And then soon you see the yellow sun's aura overtaken. Now this is me adjusting the brightness again, turning it down so that it becomes a little more visible. So here it's obscured and you can see the aura is still white. But now look what happens. The yellow sun's aura overtakes it. Not only that, but it gets extremely bright and big. And the clouds appear to be pretty unusual around it, but I'm not really sure what that is. We can be sure that this is
That is not the sun. That is not the sun. See that? Okay, over here is the setting sun. Oh!
I am going to welcome a new guest to the show. We're going to have live views again. We've got still, actually, I have just heard that we have now lost Dubai. You saw Dubai get darker and darker, and that was just the sun setting. Here we are with the live views of the solar telescope just behind me. It's what 2 members are going to watch every single day from now on. And you can see there the sun is on the left. You can see the small black dot, which is just to the right of center of the sun. That is the tiny orb of Mercury. Mercury, you now know so many interesting and fascinating facts from astronomer Bob Berman. You'll be able to tell all your friends. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is that large round thing to the right of the sun? Well, that's our second sun. I don't know if you knew that we had a second sun, but there it is. It's normally hidden from view. NASA and other organizations, they usually hide that stuff away from us. They don't tell us the truth, but there it is. It's true.
Telling me about unusual preparation in the Puerto Rico region. That, and again, I don't know if this is just internet rumors but, people are telling me that people in Puerto Rico are aware of things like body bags and, coffins and stuff being shipped and stored in Puerto Rico.
Sí, dicen que funcionarios federales han señalado que el área de FEMA, o sea, la región 3, que cubre la zona este, la costa este de Estados Unidos, vamos a hablar de Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, Pensilvania, Virginia Occidental, Nueva York, pues se prepara en silencio.
Video from February 13th, 2016 at 8:49 in the morning. It's in San Francisco, California. You'll see 2 things, the little white sun and the regular yellow sun in the sky. And first, the yellow sun disappears, then the white sun appears, and then the yellow sun covers it up. So you can see the yellow sun just over the hill there. It's going to fade. The whole brightness is me adjusting the brightness filter. But here you can see it's almost completely disappeared. As the clouds move toward the south, the little white sun appears right now, center screen just above the midline. And it's a fair distance away from where the yellow sun was. Let's zoom in here as we watch it be obscured by the clouds. After it's obscured, you'll see the white aura. It's distinct, bright and white. And then soon you see the yellow sun's aura overtake it. Now this is me adjusting the brightness again, turning it down so that it becomes a little more visible. So here it's obscured and you can see the aura is still white. But now look what happens. The yellow sun's aura overtakes it. Not only that, but it gets extremely bright and big. And the clouds appear to be pretty unusual around it, but I'm not really sure what that is. We can be sure that this is
actually see a sphere there. But let's just go upstairs and look at this. Watch how it goes down in the south, right? Let's have a look up here. See that? Look at that. See that there?
At this point of the flight is when everyone started getting their cameras, cell phones, whatever recording device, video recording devices, and you'll see why. Look at the sun. It appears that there's another moon, maybe two suns. Do chemtrails have, look at that. Do chemtrails have anything to do with it? Planet X, is that Planet X?
Video on my channel, and it is the most significant video I have. Right? Because that's a lens flare anomaly. That's a freaking camera aberration. That's a sun flare. That's a lens flare. That's...
According to his theory, Nemesis is an undiscovered companion star to our own sun. It travels between 1 and 3 light years from the center of the solar system on an elongated elliptical orbit. As Nemesis makes its closest approach to the sun every 26 million years, its orbit takes it right through the Oort cloud, a collection of an estimated trillion comets surrounding our solar system. That's when the order of the solar system turns especially chaotic.
When that happens, Nemesis gets close to the comets and perturbs their orbit.
According to Muller's theory, the gravitational disruption caused by this small, innocuous star causes long, undisturbed comets to break away from their orbits in the Oort cloud. Pulled towards the sun by its gravity, 1 billion comets are sent careening toward the inner solar system. Handful inevitably cross paths with the Earth, resulting in massive impacts and mass extinctions.
An international team of astronomers says it has discovered what appear to be planets that are not orbiting stars. Some scientists have suggested the existence of such free-floating planets in space. The team, which includes researchers from Japan's Nagoya and Osaka universities, says it has discovered 10 such suspected floating planets. The planets each have a mass approximately equivalent to that of Jupiter. The discoveries were made over 18 months, starting in April of 2006, using a special telescope at an observatory in New Zealand. The researchers say the discovered celestial bodies must be floating planets because, unlike fixed stars, they do not emit light. They say they found no fixed stars near these planets.
The discoveries are a step toward learning how planets were created and how they develop.
Some scientists expect that a NASA surveyor to be launched in 2020 will be able to capture images of these floating planets.